I'm a 29-year-old guy, pretty normal, work in IT support, live a fairly quiet life, and I've always been the type who tries to stay calm even when everything around me gets chaotic. I'm not the dramatic one in any group. I don't yell, I don't storm off, and I don't play guessing games. I say what I mean and mean what I say. Turns out, those traits can make you look dependable, or make you a perfect target for someone who thrives on attention and emotional fireworks. I didn't realize that when I got into a relationship with my ex. She used to tell me she liked how steady I was, how I listened more than I spoke, how I didn't make her feel judged. I didn't think anything of those comments at the time. I thought she appreciated me for who I was. Later, I learned she appreciated what she could get away with. The beginning of the end started on a random Thursday evening. I remember it clearly because nothing dramatic was happening. I was on the couch eating leftover pasta and watching a documentary. She walked in looking like she had spent the whole afternoon rehearsing something. Stiff posture, forced smile, eyes bouncing everywhere except at me. I muted the TV because something definitely felt off. She sat down and said she'd been thinking a lot. She kept twisting her hands like she was trying to wring out the nerves. I thought maybe she was stressed about work or planning something big. Instead, she hit me with a sentence that didn't make sense until way later. "You're too good to be true." At first, I thought she meant it nicely. Before I could ask what she meant, she said, "I made everything too easy. I didn't argue enough. I didn't question her sudden moods. I didn't get jealous." She said she felt like she was the only one invested because she was always the emotional one and I was just calm about everything. I told her that wasn't fair. I cared. I just wasn't loud about it. I didn't need an argument to express feelings. But she'd already made up her mind. She said she needed to explore life on her own, grow as a person, and figure herself out. Those phrases always sound deep until you realize they're usually a soft cover for something else. I didn't beg, I didn't break down. I asked if she was sure, and she nodded quickly, like she couldn't wait to be done. She said she hoped I understood. I didn't fully understand, but I respected her choice. If someone wants to leave, you let them leave. She packed her essentials that night and left the rest for later. That was it. Years of memories and routines wrapped up in 3 sentences and a quiet exit. 2 weeks later, I found out the real reason she left. One of her friends ran into me at the grocery store, and in the middle of small talk, she casually asked, "So, are they working out?" My confused look told her she'd slipped. She apologized quickly and said she thought I already knew. I didn't push her for details, but the second she walked away, I knew something was wrong. That night, I checked social media, something I normally barely touched. It took less than 5 minutes to find pictures my ex hadn't meant for me to see. It wasn't subtle. Concerts, bars, road trips, all with a guy she used to call just a friend. The captions were vague enough to look innocent, but clear enough for anyone who knew the context. She didn't break up because I was too good to be true. She broke up because she wanted someone else and didn't want to feel guilty admitting it. That sting was less about heartbreak and more about being lied to. I didn't confront her. I didn't message the guy. I didn't rant to friends. I just accepted that she chose the life she wanted. My friends eventually convinced me to go out again, not to rebound, but to live. I went to the gym more consistently, joined coworkers for weekend hangouts, picked up hobbies I had dropped because I'd been too focused on the relationship. I wasn't trying to date. I wasn't trying to get her attention. I was just trying to be okay again. But me moving forward, even slowly, threw her into a spiral. It started subtly. She accidentally sent me a message one night, a simple, "Hey." She apologized right after, said it was meant for someone else, but then added she hoped I was doing okay. I kept it short and polite. A week later, she messaged again about missing our conversations. I didn't reply. Then she sent something like, "I didn't realize how much you did for me until you weren't around anymore." I didn't answer that either. Then came the late-night call. She sounded emotional and asked why I didn't fight for us. She said she expected me to show up at her door after the breakup, to try to win me back, to prove I cared by not listening to her words. She said her silence felt like abandonment. I told her calmly that she asked for space and I respected it. She got upset and said she didn't mean literal space. She wanted effort, not absence. That was the first sign of her entitlement surfacing. In her mind, she could leave, but I was supposed to stay emotionally available until she figured herself out. Then things escalated. She started posting vague things on social media, quotes about missing someone who gave up too easily, pictures of old memories, songs that sounded like they were directed at me. Then she started showing up at places I went to, not frequently enough to call it stalking, but often enough to be intentional. At one party she randomly showed up to, she kept touching my arm, laughing at little jokes, acting like we were just reconnecting naturally. I stepped away every time. I wasn't rude, I wasn't angry, I just didn't give her the reaction she expected. 2 weeks later, she showed up at my apartment building unannounced. She said she just wanted to talk. I told her kindly but clearly that it wasn't a good idea. She got emotional and accused me of leading her on by being polite. She said I changed after the breakup, like she didn't grasp that breaking up actually changes relationships. I stayed calm, but I didn't let her in. She left with one final line. If you think moving on is up to you, you're wrong. That's when I realized the real problem wasn't heartbreak or confusion, it was control. The next part is where things turned from messy to dangerous. 2 weeks later, I got called into my HR office. They said someone had contacted them claiming I was harassing her, following her, showing up at her job and making her feel unsafe. HR asked if I knew who the person was. I didn't even need to think. I knew exactly what happened. Luckily, I work with decent people. They didn't assume I was guilty. They asked for context. I showed them messages she sent me, the social posts, the timestamps, everything that clearly showed she had been contacting me, not the other way around. Her story had major holes. She couldn't provide dates, times, screenshots, or anything resembling evidence. HR marked her complaint as unsubstantiated and told me if she tried again, they'd consider it harassment against me. She had tried to damage my job because I didn't run back to her. That's when everything changed for me. I went from being patient to being strategic. I gathered everything, screenshots of her messages, records of calls, her posts, even her friend's accidental slip. I wasn't planning to do anything drastic, but I wanted documentation. I had a free consultation with an attorney. He looked through everything and told me to keep collecting evidence, avoid engaging with her emotionally, and contact him
immediately if she tried anything again. I didn't plan to start a legal battle. I just wanted protection. But then she crossed another line. She posted a long rant on social media about how someone had emotionally damaged her and how she was trying to heal from a relationship that involved safety concerns. She didn't use my name, but it was clear enough to anyone who knew us. And since she had previously contacted my employer claiming I was dangerous, it was obvious what she was implying. That was defamation territory. So I sent her a short message, calm, factual, not emotional. I told her to stop making false claims, stop contacting my workplace, stop posting things that implied I had ever made her unsafe, and stop attempting to interfere with my life. I told her I had spoken to an attorney and had been advised to issue a formal warning. I didn't insult her, I didn't threaten her, I just laid out the truth. She panicked immediately. She messaged me repeatedly apologizing and saying she didn't mean for anything to escalate. She said she acted out of emotion. She said she just wanted me to understand how hurt she was. Then she deleted her posts. I didn't reply. A few days later, someone in her friend group, I still don't know who, sent me screenshots from their group chat. In those screenshots, my ex bragged about how she thought she could make me run back if she made things messy enough. She said she wanted me to feel off balance so I'd come back to her. She literally wrote that she wanted to flip the script and make me look like the villain to get attention and sympathy. Those screenshots were the final piece. I forwarded them to my attorney. He drafted a cease and desist letter outlining her behavior, the false accusations to my employer, the misleading posts, the documented attempts to manipulate me, and her written admission of intentional wrongdoing. The letter stated clearly that any further harassment or false statements would result in legal action for defamation and interference with employment. We mailed it certified so she'd have to sign for it. That day changed everything. She messaged me non-stop after signing for it. She said she never expected consequences. She said she thought I would always understand her. She said she was scared I would take her to court. She begged me to talk to her. She tried guilt, tears, confusion, nostalgia, everything except accountability. I didn't reply. Then the fallout hit her. People in her friend group distanced themselves once they realized she had lied. Screenshots circulated among them. The guy she left me for backed away. Her social posts quieted down completely. She went from being socially loud to almost invisible overnight. And for the first time since the breakup, she faced a world where she couldn't twist the narrative in her favor. The last time I saw her was about a month after the cease and desist. I was walking to my car in a grocery store parking lot when she approached me. No theatrics this time, no shouting or guilt trips, just quiet regret. She said she hoped one day I'd forgive her. She said she never intended to cause real harm. She said she didn't know why she acted the way she did. I told her forgiveness wasn't the issue. Trust was. And trust doesn't come back just because someone regrets the consequences. She nodded, eyes down, and walked away. No drama, no final twist, just acceptance. My life has been calmer since. Work is stable, my routines are easy again. I'm not walking on eggshells, waiting for the next emotional shock. I'm not anticipating late-night calls or unexpected appearances. I realized that sometimes the quiet life people joke about craving is actually something to protect fiercely. I also learned something I didn't expect. Staying calm doesn't mean you let people walk over you. Being patient doesn't mean tolerating harm. And respecting someone's decision to leave doesn't mean you owe them emotional loyalty forever. Some people don't actually miss you. They miss having access to you. And once that access is closed for good, they show who they were all along. Anyway, if you actually made it through this long roller coaster, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Clearly you commit better than my ex ever did.